Your level of discipline is the compass that will guide your destiny. The life you live today is a direct reflection of the discipline you have cultivated over time. When we understand that discipline has shaped our current reality and will continue to shape our future, we can use this knowledge to redirect our self-control and transform our lives. The truth is that 90% of success in any endeavor depends purely on discipline. We spend years in school, but we are rarely taught the importance of discipline. Today we're going to dive deep into 8 Stoic lessons that can help you build robust self-discipline and solid emotional control. These lessons are more than just advice. They are powerful tools that, if applied correctly, can radically change the way you face challenges and pursue your goals. First lesson: fight carnal pleasures. It is crucial to understand that we often need to save ourselves from ourselves. Our mind and body often fall into traps we create, needing rescue. The body wants to eat until it is satisfied, but we often overdo it, stuff ourselves with food and go beyond what is necessary. The body wants to drink until it feels happy, but when we wake up, we barely remember how we got home. We want to relax a little before work, but suddenly hours have passed in procrastination. Our minds are naturally curious, but when we dive into a sea of excessive mental stimulation, we exceed our healthy processing limits, resulting in anxiety and stress. The mind seeks immediate satisfaction through purchases, but we often spend more than we earn, exceeding our financial limits and acquiring much more than we need. Our body and mind crave the now, making us believe we can deal with the consequences later. Worse still, they minimize the negative impacts on our lives. We must be smart and anticipate these behaviors, stopping them before they cause harm. If we feel bad after a hangover, full of regret and shame the next morning, was the initial satisfaction really worth it? If we lack self-confidence after procrastinating, if we are financially lost, sinking into debt, if our mind is tired and overloaded, could giving in to impulses really be that good? We shouldn't just focus on momentary pleasure, but on what it robs us of and how we will feel later, when our self-confidence and self-esteem are shaken, or when we look in the mirror and wonder how we got to this situation. Self-discipline is not a restriction. It is not about depriving yourself of excesses because they are morally wrong, but rather a measure to avoid a life full of unnecessary suffering and negative consequences that we create for ourselves by giving in to every impulse and unbridled desire without any restraint or criteria. Choosing self-control is about avoiding creating our own personal hell in the present. It is important to understand that abstinence and restriction are not the same thing. Abstinence means avoiding something completely, while restraint seeks moderation, a Stoic virtue. It's about approaching things in a balanced and appropriate way, respecting our limits. Being disciplined does not mean depriving ourselves or giving up happiness, but acting responsibly, understanding our own limits. It's knowing when to stop before things get out of control, like leaving the table before eating too much, or enjoying a drink instead of consuming all the cans at the party. It consists of being aware of resting for 30 minutes or the planned time, not for hours on end. Shop within your budget and learn to spend less than you earn, living within your means. Discipline is not a punishment, but a way to avoid negative consequences. It is an expression of high value, prioritizing the mind over the body, avoiding distractions and temporary pleasures. According to Stoicism, reason must prevail over our impulses and emotional triggers. Thus, by controlling the mind and opting for reason, we transform our actions and consequently our destiny. If you are ready to transform your life and achieve a new dimension of self-discipline and self-control, subscribe to our channel now. By joining us, you will be taking an important step towards rescuing yourself from the traps that your mind and body often create. This is the time to put aside procrastination, overcome unbridled impulses, and embrace a life of balance and clarity. Your decision to enroll is the first step towards a future where reason and self-discipline guide your actions, creating a destination of success and well-being. Second lesson: Discomfort is the key to change. Seneca, one of the richest and most influential men in the Roman Empire, received a large inheritance from his father and built his own fortune. Despite all his wealth and comfort, he practiced a form of exposure therapy, training for adversity. For 3 or 4 days each month, he chose to live in a simple and uncomfortable way. He wore rustic, worn-out clothes, slept on the floor, and ate only dry bread and water. Seneca renounced the amenities and comfort that his wealth could provide him, ensuring that his training was genuine and meaningful. He advised Lucilio and other friends to do the same, to volunteer temporarily to face difficulties. But why did Seneca do this? What was the objective behind these actions? He wanted to prove to himself that enduring such challenges was not only possible, but a reality for many of Rome's citizens. By submitting himself to voluntary hardships, Seneca confronted his own fears, asking himself, "Is this what I fear?" Fear stopped being an anxiety just in his mind and became a reality that he learned to deal with. This practice helped him build perspective and resilience, essential skills for facing adversity. This was crucial for him, especially when faced with Emperor Nero's instability. Seneca offered all of his wealth in exchange for his freedom, surprising Nero, who could not believe that someone would give up everything. Seneca always said that he had money, but that he never owned it, maintaining an emotional and psychological distance in relation to wealth and its benefits. He did not place his value, happiness, or emotional well-being in these material elements. Unlike Seneca's Stoic approach, many of us avoid discomfort. We prefer the easy path and believe that success means never facing difficulties. In this way, we reject challenges and run towards the comforts of life, always getting what we want when we want it, like spoiled children. Why put effort into work if someone else will always take on that responsibility? Why put effort into dieting or going to the gym if I can justify my weight based on genetics or my age? Why learn to control my emotions when I can blame my temper or my star sign? Why walk when we can drive? We don't realize how much this mentality makes us dependent, spoiled, and skilled at complaining. It spoils us and creates perfect conditions for failure and frustration, as well as making us fearful. We become addicted to our comforts and then fear losing them. Seneca tells the story of a Roman in love with luxury who never deprived himself of anything, and at the first shadow of difficulty succumbed to despair. Epictetus, who would spend any amount to obtain the most refined foods in the world, after spending 100 million Roman sesterces on extravagant dinners, discovered that he only had 10 million left. Afraid of dying poor and without his extravagant meals, Epictetus killed himself. We can challenge ourselves like a Stoic, willingly facing difficulties and improving our discipline, or we can despair like Epictetus. Some people value discomfort and challenge themselves, pushing their physical, mental, or emotional limits. Facing pain strengthens us and makes us less cowardly in the face of challenges. Self-discipline begins by exposing ourselves to challenges, as life will inevitably bring severe discomfort, and we need to be prepared. Those who face difficult times and embrace change are more resilient and difficult to defeat, and ultimately happier. Moderation during good times is crucial, as they don't last forever. Let us remember that difficult times create strong men and women, while easy times create fragile men and women. Third lesson, free yourself from your addictions. Eisenhower accomplished great things in his life. He fought in World War II, defeated the Nazis, conquered Germany, and shared in his autobiography the journey that brought him wealth. However, in 1949, Eisenhower faced a new challenge, defeating himself. He smoked 3 to 4 packs a day for 38 years and knew it was time to quit. Despite his impressive achievements, Eisenhower also understood the importance of conquering himself. Anyone who has struggled with drug addiction knows how difficult it can be to break free and avoid relapse. In 1949, he made a bold and liberating decision to quit smoking. He said the only way to stop smoking was to quit, and he never touched a cigarette again. Eisenhower had incredible willpower and made a personal choice to believe it was his responsibility to take care of his body and protect his health. He faced and defeated this inner demon, prolonging his life and keeping his body stronger, allowing him to continue contributing to the world. He led NATO and served as President of the United States during difficult times. Today, when we reflect reflect on our habits, we can realize that we depend on some things. We are surrounded by modern addictions such as social media, soft drinks, caffeine, drugs, video games, or the rampant consumption of fast food. It doesn't matter whether these habits are socially acceptable. What matters is whether they are actually good for us. Just as smoking harmed Eisenhower's health, our habits can harm our happiness without us even realizing it. Why allow these habits to continue to dominate our lives? Why should we listen to our body or our habits? Why let our emotions react before our logic? Our body, our habits, and our emotions should not be under control. Just as slavery was an ineffective and cruel institution, choosing to be a slave to our habits is also a limitation that we can overcome. Take this test. If you knew all the risks and consequences today, would you still practice these habits? Would you continue to let them dictate the way you live, knowing the negative impact they have? Just because you made bad choices in the past doesn't mean you have to repeat them over and over again. Your past does not necessarily determine your future. Your past does not necessarily determine your future. Now you have the opportunity to make different choices. No matter how successful you are now, sometimes we need to have our actions and habits laid out before us, like soldiers lined up, to know who is responsible. We must distinguish whether we are masters or slaves of habits. You may have a harmful habit in your life that you now need to fight. The good news is that it's never too late to defeat them. Get inspired by Eisenhower's story about quitting smoking at age 58. Select stop now. Free yourself from these behaviors and choose to no longer be a slave. Fourth lesson, be humble. Recognized for her extraordinary talents, Kate chose to live a simple and modest life, avoiding expensive clothes and extravagant spending. He shared the same wine with his servants and often worked with them in the fields. His minimalist philosophy is also reflected in his home, where he resides in a simple and unpretentious residence. Kate follows in the footsteps of her hero Guglielmo, a statesman best known as the simple hero of the Roman Republic. Guglielmo was at the height of his power when some people tried to bribe him and found him cooking in the kitchen. His simple lifestyle showed that he did not value money and that his character and integrity could not be bought. Furthermore, when Kate received expensive gifts or awards for her political work, he refused them. This demanding lifestyle can be difficult to accept, but it often proves easier to live with fewer worries and disruptions to your inner peace. No one likes dealing with creditors at the door or being a slave to a luxurious lifestyle that demands more and more every day. When we think about discipline and how to eliminate unnecessary things, we often think about reducing or minimizing extra tasks or distractions to be more productive. However, practicing Stoicism challenges us to think outside the box and begin to see all levels of our lives. In today's world, we are often faced with the temptation and pressure to accumulate and possess more and more things. We live in an impressionable time where advertising and social influence often lead us to believe that we need certain things to find happiness. As Kate points out, how many things do we buy simply because others have bought them and because they are in many homes? Many of our problems are explained by copying the examples of others rather than following a cause. We are deceived by conventions. If a few people do something, we don't imitate them. But when the majority starts to behave in a certain way, we follow them, as if something is more respected because it happens more frequently. In Seneca's time, the internet did not exist, but behaviors followed the same logic. The reason is simple. Human nature has not changed, and neither has it changed. Discipline must be seen as a basis for building one's own value instead of trusting or limiting one's own merits to external factors. Fifth lesson, improve your life with discipline. True discipline begins with respect for organization at all levels of our lives. It's not just about how we manage our time or energy, but also a deep connection to the order based on Stoic philosophy. Imagine how difficult it is to maintain discipline when our workspaces are cluttered, our homes are cluttered, clothes are strewn everywhere, and the sink is full of dishes for days on end. Our possessions seem to have a life of their own. Although organization is simple, it plays a vital role in our ability to maintain sanity and develop daily discipline. Stoic philosophy emphasizes the importance of starting small with a strict sequence in order to build a solid foundation for more complex challenges. If we can't organize ourselves and manage simple daily tasks, how can we face bigger challenges? An organization that goes beyond appearances. It is an expression of our internal disciplines. By applying Stoic principles, we embody discipline not only as an external practice, but also as a true inner transformation. You can only change your environment by first changing your internal values. The foundation of strong discipline begins with careful organization of our environment. Transforming chaos into order, guided by stoicism, becomes a journey where thinking becomes clear, determination flourishes, and true discipline is established. Sixth lesson, walk slowly to advance. In ancient Rome, imperial leaders developed continuity strategies, selecting talented young people and designating their own successors. This was how Marcus Aurelius ascended the throne, chosen by Hadrian, and Octavian became the heir of Julius Caesar at the age of 18. A year later, in the Roman Forum, Octavius promised to achieve the same feats as his adoptive father. Despite his ambitious plans, Octavius did not rush in, adopting a gradual and considered approach, absorbing lessons from the Stoic philosophers. Recognized before Christ, his path to power was marked by deliberate growth. When Octavius took control of Rome, he transformed the city into a grand marble empire. This metamorphosis did not happen overnight. It required time and dedication to the small details. Octavio's leadership highlights the value of constancy and discipline, emphasizing the importance of executing tasks correctly. Sometimes we overvalue motivation at the expense of discipline. The momentary inspiration we get from watching an inspiring film or reading a captivating book propels us to take immediate action. However, when this motivation fades, we return to our real state. It is in these moments that building our discipline becomes crucial. Discipline is the foundation that sustains us, pushing us to continue even when motivation disappears. In Stoic philosophy, Octavius's lesson encourages us to adopt a steady pace, recognizing that true greatness comes from commitment and attention to detail. So slow down, embrace the journey, and prosper wisely. Seventh lesson, overcome difficulties. Imagine starting each day with a resort-worthy breakfast. This was the luxurious life of King George I, known for his insatiable appetite. Over time, his body swelled so much that he feared suffocating even when lying down, turning simple tasks like signing documents into challenges, leading him to use a stamp for his signature, avoiding any effort. Despite his royal duties, King George neglected important duties and fathered several children out of wedlock, acting as if he were above the rules of health and death. However, this carefree life had its consequences. On a summer night in 1830, at 3:30 a.m., he faced death, holding the hand of a young servant, realizing it was the end. By comparing this self-destructive lifestyle with the inspiring example of American President Theodore Roosevelt, we can see the impact of our daily choices throughout our lives. Roosevelt faced health problems from a young age, but chose a different path, embracing a life of physical challenges. Involving himself in activities such as rowing and boxing, he remained active even during his presidency. When you woke up in the morning, who do you think felt better, lazy King George or Roosevelt, the advocate of an active and stimulating life? Roosevelt's example demonstrates how taking on challenges can lead to great achievements. Our goal is not just to exist and seek pleasure. Our nature is much broader. Think of the great people who built everything we enjoy today. Nature has endowed us with unique and surprising abilities. There are things that only you can contribute to the world. Today, do you want to be a factor of improvement, or will you waste your talents? Being an agent of improvement means making the world a better place through your presence and contributions. Taking care of your body is as essential as taking care of your soul. Marcus Aurelius recognizes the deep connection between mind and body, emphasizing the importance of keeping them healthy. Self-discipline does not deny happiness, but rather achieves it. Hard work, physical activity, and controlling desires lead to true satisfaction and allow us to thrive. So choose to start improving today and see how you can flourish and prosper. Eighth lesson, be silent. While the Spartans were known for their unwavering courage and strength, an often overlooked quality was their mastery of self-discipline. Especially when it came to speaking, they possessed the unique ability to use few words to make a monumental impact. Faced with threats from powerful enemies, the Spartans responded with short, powerful words, showing a resilience that was unaffected by fear. When confronted with the information that Xerxes' arrows would block the sun, Leonidas responded simply, "Then we will fight in the shadow." When another conqueror threatened to massacre every Spartan soldier who breached the walls, the Spartans simply responded with one word. The Spartans never used two words when one was enough. They always avoided verbal excesses. Furthermore, they did not engage in unnecessary arguments and never shared too much. The crucial lesson here is that talking less is more powerful than talking too much. Despite having the power and authority to speak freely, the Spartans chose silence. They did not feel the need to assert themselves or prove their worth or intelligence by constantly talking or engaging in meaningless arguments. There is nothing more annoying than in the workplace, at family gatherings or among friends, a person who is chatty. That is, someone who wants to talk without respecting other people's space, but mainly who talks without stopping, without anyone be interested in listening. Having the discipline to resist the temptation to talk and talk without stopping every thought or expressing opinions all the time is a valuable skill, where the wisdom of the Spartans remains relevant. Zeno reminded all his students that we have 2 ears and 1 mouth, and therefore we must respect proportion and discipline ourselves to listen more than we speak. If you've made it this far, congratulations. You are one of the few people truly committed to transforming your life through these valuable reflections. I would like to know, which of the insights shared in this video was the most impactful for you? Leave your comment below and share your opinion with us. Your participation is essential for us to continue growing together. If you want to transform your life and adopt this Stoic mindset, subscribe to our channel. Together, we'll explore how taking on voluntary challenges can strengthen your discipline and resilience. Each video is an opportunity to learn and apply these lessons to your everyday life. Click the sign up button now and begin this journey of self-discovery and personal growth. Come be part of this community dedicated to strengthening the mind and spirit. Sign up and transform your destiny.